Right. Abdurrahman?
Chapter 6, verse 134.
Can you understand when he pronounces the numbers?
Huh? Listen carefully. 6, 134.
134?
Chapter 6, 134.
Yes.
وربك الغني ذو الرحمة أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وربك الغني ذو الرحمة إن يشاء يذهبكم ويستخلف من بعدكم ما يشاء كما أنشأكم من ذرية قوم آخرين إنما توعدون لآت وما أنتم بمعجزين. The translation is, and thy Lord is self-sufficient, Lord of mercy. If he please, he can do away with you and cause to succeed you whom he pleases, even as he raised you from the posterity of other people. Surely that which you are promised shall come to pass, and you cannot frustrate it.
Huzur, the meaning is not clear to me.
First of all, the translation?
He just wants the tafsir of the
This one.
Quran.
No, in Arabic, he spoke English, didn't he?
He just
He
say,
didn't frame the question in Arabic. So you better frame the question in Arabic on his behalf first.
on his behalf.
On his behalf, that what he wanted, what he wants to find out is the meaning of change of the humankinds in this context, in the context of this verse. Is that what you want to know? Yes.
أراد
There are many verses with similar subjects of discussion, but they have to be minutely studied and categorized, because they all do not mean the same thing. There are different types of changes which are possibly affected in man. I mean, God refers to changes He will bring about in relation to man in different categories. First of all, the change which will be brought about in the life after death. About that, the Holy Quran says, وَنُنْشِئَكُمْ فِي مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. وَلَا قَادِرِينَ. वो आयत पढ़ें। Allah has full power and has the full know-how. Qadirin also means that. Allah knows how to do it, and Allah has full power to do it, that He may raise you into a people, into a form, of which you have no idea whatsoever. So this is a recreation of God after death. Then Allah speaks many times in the Quran of changing a people, by changing a people by another people, not into a new form of life, but a people who rejected Prophet Noah were replaced by another nation, and those who rejected Abraham were also wiped out and replaced by other people, and so on and so forth. This style of the Quran continues from the time of Noah onwards, where you read that when they rejected, God removed them and brought about others who inherited the earth or the lands to which earlier people, which the earlier people had possessed. So this is the second type of change which is to take place here in the world, which is mentioned in so many verses of the Quran. There is a third type of change which does not relate to change of one generation by another generation. That change relates to the species of human beings to be wiped out, and a new species to be brought instead, who would be better equipped than mankind, who, after they have become finally totally sinful, would be destined to be destroyed altogether. This is which relates, this is what the comments I have made, they relate to all such verses which speak of a change in man, in generations, or in the species. In this context, if you read it again, we'll see whether a change of generation is meant or a change of species is meant. So I would require the Imam Sahib to read the verse again.
The same verse. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وربك الغني ذو الرحمة إن يشاء يذهبكم ويستخلف من بعدكم ما يشاء كما أنشأكم من ذرية قوم آخرين.
This verse stands in between the two possibilities. This verse does not clearly speak of a new khalq, but this can be interpreted as that. Show me. The same. Others bhi nikale. وَرَبُّكَ الْغَنِيُّ ذُو الرَّحْمَةِ. God does not depend on anyone and is not answerable to anyone. He can do whatever he like. Zur Rahma, but also he is so merciful. If he were not merciful, he would wipe out everything from the face of the earth. In yasha yuzhibkum wa yastakhlif min ba'dikum ma yasha. The word ma here is indicative of a change in the species. Although this could be read either way because the word qawm is mentioned afterwards, but the word ma is very indicative. It doesn't say yastakhlif min ba'dikum qawman. It says yastakhlif min ba'dikum ma yasha kama ansha'akum min dhurriyyati qawmin akharin. Ansha'akum also is an expression which is evolutionary in nature. Kama ansha'akum min dhurriyyati qawmin akharin. Here the word qawm can be translated as species. Like he raised you from different generations of a different type. So this verse, to my knowledge, can be interpreted both ways. If somebody prefers to mean to understand this to apply to the changes of generations of humans and their replacement by other generations, one may do so. But I read it in the style in which I found this expression, to me is indicative of a different type of change. Kama ansha'akum min zurriyyati qawmin akharin is not just one past people replacing another. It is a species or order of life which is being changed into a new species or another order of life. To support this meaning, there are other verses which are very clear, which cannot be interpreted in two ways. No, not this. That's right. Wallah, again the word ghani is used in this context. You see, this ghani attribute is specifically related to this change. Allah is not dependent on mankind. if mankind thinks that Allah is dependent on them for his memory and things, let them forget about it. Wallahu al-ghaniyyu wa antumul fuqara wa in tatawallaw yastabdil qawman ghayrakum thumma la yakunu amthalakum wa ma qadarullah haqqa qadrihi wal ardu jami'an qabdatuhu yawm al-qiyamah was not this. हाँ?
ये सिर्फ एक
नहीं और आयतें हैं इससे भी ज्यादा क्लियर. Now this verse which I referred to earlier has also double meaning. It can apply to the life after death, and it can also apply to a change here in this world. I'm talking I wish I had brought that list with me. Have you? Anyway, this verse can also possibly mean a change in human species. Which says, "Nahnu qaddarna bainakum al-mawta wa ma nahnu bimasbuqin ala an nubaddila amthalakum wa nunshi'akum fi ma la ta'lamun." Primarily, I believe it applies to the life after death. But here's another verse which can preferably understood to apply to the change here on this earth, which says, "Wallahu al-ghaniyyu wa antumul fuqara wa in tatawallaw yastabdil qawman ghayrakum thumma la yakunu amthalakum." This cannot apply to the hereafter. Thumma la yakunu amthalakum does not mean that they will still be tried and they will behave better in the hereafter. So most certainly this verse is applicable to the life here on earth, because it says, "In tatawallaw yastabdil qawman ghayrakum thumma la yakunu amthalakum." But the verse which I have in mind is not yet before me, no. I have another verse in mind which I have mentioned in the book which I am writing nowadays, which will be published soon, inshallah, which is very categorical on this issue. It is no shadow of doubt that the human race will be obliterated, will be completely discarded by God one day, and a new type of life will replace this life which we know as human life, and the life as such will continue after the Qiyamah, which will bring to an end the human era. That is the verse which I had in mind and which I can't see here in this, right? So this verse which you have presented to me can be translated either way. It may mean both simultaneously, or may mean either of the two meanings. Please. The verse which I had in mind, which cannot be interpreted in any other way, but only to indicate that the mankind will be finished and a new creation will be born. إِن يَشَاءْ يُذْهِبْكُمْ وَيَأْتِ بِخَلْقٍ جَدِيدٍ. This is the verse which I had in mind. أَلَمْ تَرَ أَنَّ اللَّهَ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ بِالْحَقِّ إِن يَشَاءْ يُذْهِبْكُمْ وَيَأْتِ بِخَلْقٍ جَدِيدٍ وَمَا ذَلِكَ عَلَى اللَّهِ بِعَزِيزٍ. So mankind should not take it for granted that they are the only things which were created by God, and if they are destroyed, there will be no one to worship God. Here it says, if Allah so desires, He will completely wipe you out. And yate bi not bi qawmin, yate bi khalqin jadid. See?
لقد وجد الحمد لله حاطب من الآية التي كان يفتش عنها، وهي كما قرأها على مسامعكم: كيف بإمكان الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يذهبكم تماما ويأتي بخلق جديد؟ ولم يقل الله سبحانه وتعالى أنه سيأتي بإنسان جديد، ولكن بخلق جديد. فمعنى هذا يمكن أن يؤتي الله سبحانه وتعالى مخلوقات جديدة تختلف تماما عن الإنسان، وهذا يقول حاطب من هذا إنذار للإنسان أن الله سبحانه وتعالى بإمكانه أن يمحوه تماما. لابد أن لا يتصور أن الله يعتمد عليه كي يقيم الحياة ويفعل ما يشاء على وجه الأرض.
Your turn? Time is over? The time flew by, this time I'm surprised. Inshallah, tomorrow we'll get together again, inshallah. Huh? Okay, sounds good.
على حسب المتابعة، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.